Tet was willing to do the switch. So this would be sort of like a shared driveway?
Yeah, there'd be
drive in
parking spots.
And parking spots?
Yeah,
That's great, because you know how tight it is? It's so dense on Lander Street.
yeah,
Especially now with the ramen place, because I went there last Friday night. There is no parking now on
Yeah,
Lander
you have to
Street.
park here.
Right, you have to park in this lot, which is not too far, but still, it's pretty tight on that street, right?
yeah.
So this would be.
Sorry, that was the live stream. It's right there.
Oh, that was
it
just
took a
a
minute for it to load up.
Okay.
Sorry,
So-
guys.
Call the meeting to order.
Yeah.
And you can start the,
It is recording
Recording,
and it's live
okay.
streaming right now.
alrighty. We have a quorum. And the first order of business is to review December minutes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as printed.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hands. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Oh, financial reports.
Okay, we're looking at the reports, for the balance sheet, it shows the balance in the checking accounts at the end of December. We have since received some additional 118,000 in grant funding at the beginning of January. So it shows the land bank phase 1 funding, which is the operating funding that we received. Remaining in that grant is 83,000. And then in the phase 2 funding for the land bank initiative, there's still 1.2 million remaining. I can talk about that, but we did just get an extension through the end of March because that actually expired December 1st, to spend that. And then there's a new round opening that we can apply for more funding.
An extension for the 1.2?
Well, the 1.8 that we got, because it was an 18-month term, which was kind of a little too short to spend all of that.
Okay.
And we hopefully should be able to spend it all by the end of March. When we're 75% dispersed, we can apply for the second round, and that is an open round.
And when do you expect for that?
Hopefully to get to 75%, I'm hoping in the next couple months. You know, I don't want there to be a gap, so.
Yeah, okay.
So then it goes through, all the property values, and so forth. That's about it for the balance sheet. For the profit and loss. It shows year to date from July through December, but if you go to the last page, there's they'll show the December report. And we received funding from Land Bank Phase 1 and 2 in December. They allocated some foundation grants, 25,000. So then it shows property sales, and again, like with the previous sale, it shows the sale as 839,000 and then 59,000 developer fee, but that includes all of the HCR and county funding and land bank initiative funding that went into it. That's not what we received in the sale or what the buyer paid, but it does come out as like a income revenue for us. And so then it go, our regular spending, and what was was, you know, the last page, it shows the total expenses, which is like the regular operating expenses at, 29,000. And so, and I think it does also show payoff of the, mark this, of the, we did pay down, part of the construction loan for that, for 63 Lander. And then our net income was 658,000.
Any questions or comments? All right, I'll take a motion to approve the financial documents.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Percy. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, quorum check for next month's meeting. I think that's a good idea that we put that on there now. I don't have a problem, but most times I do. You know what I had today? Yoga. There you go.
I don't know, yeah, it's like maybe a February vacation situation for some people.
No.
February
Go to the
Call me.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to do that in February.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be here.
Okay,
I will be here.
okay, we got at least 4. You're good?
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Good. Okay. Next is, which one was it? Legacy City?
Yes, we are wrapping up, construction on 39 South Miller, 136 Lander. We submitted applications to the building department for the certificate of occupancy. Since all
Oh,
other
good.
inspections have been passed and,
The board.
oh,
So CO for South Miller and which?
and 136 Lander.
136 Landers, we're waiting on final sprinkler.
But we did submit the CO. Oh, no. Okay.
Because when we submit it, they're ready to schedule it, so.
Oh, okay.
I don't know when it's- I got to sort that out.
Okay. We're ready for review applications?
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. I was shocked how much we had to make an offer for this house. You know, it's just crazy numbers. But when you look at everything, you know that the numbers are straight. And luckily, we have an applicant, and one that has all the boxes checked. Any discussion?
This is regarding 136 Lander.
Yes. Which looks beautiful.
And does she like meet the criteria for the disposition?
She is
Megan
here.
is sitting behind you. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce you. This is Megan Glenn.
Hello.
Just so you know.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Well, not yet.
Oh, sorry. She got excited. I was so sorry. Oh, okay.
Are we
Yeah.
discussing 136 Lander?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have an applicant by the name of Brian Deniston?
No.
No, he didn't apply, I don't think at all.
So there were a few people that started applications that didn't submit everything. And didn't complete application. So we have one complete application at this point, that's Megan Galante. And I send all of that, the application and a summary to everyone.
And I believe we extended the deadline for applications
Yes.
too, because we didn't have any completed at one.
So in
point.
the last meeting, all the applications that we received, everyone was interested in 39 South Miller, which we did identify the buyer for that one, and there were a couple of outstanding applications, or maybe a few. So we extended the deadline, and there was also, I should say, we had said we would offer the building to one of the applicants for 39 if she was able to get a pre-approval for the higher amount for 136, and she was able to get the approval, but she was not interested in the building.
I was curious about that.
And her reasons were the price and the location, just because it's helpful to know that, I think.
Yeah,
But so other people were kind of partially through the application process, but didn't provide all the information.
So when they don't provide all the information, do you have to just reject that application?
Well, yeah, because we had a deadline and there
Right.
were, it was moved a
Yeah, no,
couple of
it's
times,
fair.
but I think what happens is like in the end, they're not able to get a pre-approval or something like that.
yeah, we had to draw the line somewhere, I mean.
And then
like
people
the
come
line.
in late, and that's, we've already
Yeah,
passed
right.
the deadline, so.
Yeah,
Jen, I was of the understanding that Brian Denniston was working at 136 Lander Street. And to the best of his knowledge, he had done everything that was required of him. Although obviously, I don't know, the steps that needed to be fulfilled.
Pathstone, told me that there were a couple people or some people that started applications but never completed them, and they reached out to everyone, and sometimes, like they said, like they are not able to get everything that are required,
Okay.
So
I
that's
mean,
where,
I know Brian personally. I wouldn't be voting when it comes time to vote with regard to it, but I know him personally. And I had spoken to him about that property, and he was very positive about it. And he had some questions. I was trying to guide him a little bit, but I will check with him and let you know.
yeah, and I can follow up with Pathstone to see if he went through the whole process with them or not.
Okay, thank you.
If you ever have information, this goes to everybody, about a client or a person of interest for these things, and says, listen, we're stuck, let the board know so that we can follow up, whether is it a breakdown in communication, is it that a misunderstanding, whatever, so that we make sure as many people as are eligible can apply. Okay. So, any questions about this application? Are we ready to vote on this application?
yes.
Yeah, 5. We need 5.
And Jeff
But
can
Jeff
vote.
can vote.
Yeah.
So, all in favor of accepting,
Or a
Megan?
motion? You have to make a motion.
Oh, do I have a motion to accept Megan Galante? Am I saying that right, Galante? As the new owner of 136 Lander.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, you'd won.
You won.
All in favor signify by raising your hand saying aye.
Aye.
Jeff, are you gonna vote?
I'm going to abstain.
That's not good. Okay, Ally, you may vote.
Okay,
Aye, okay, so it carries. Congratulations now, Megan.
thank you so much. I live in Lander, so, yeah.
She lives on the same block.
Yeah.
And is a tenant of Jeff's at a prior land bank building.
About to see this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful building you got.
Next week. Oh, good.
Now,
So
the
then-
joys of being a landlord.
Housing security.
Yeah,
Yeah.
True
Oh
that.
my gosh. I don't have to do anything right now, right? You're-
No, we'll be in touch, but the next step is
Celebrate.
you need to get an attorney
Yeah,
that
right.
we can reach out to start, to get into contract.
All right, well, yeah, that's exciting. Thank you so much, everyone.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, I see y'all here.
Okay. Land Bank Initiative projects.
Where'd you come back from that?
I know. She's very excited.
Yes. So 128 Du Bois, we are, we submitted the permit to start work there, or the contractor did. And, we're having a kickoff meeting with the architect, and the contractor tomorrow. They already had a site visit from the Department of Buildings, so hopefully that will get moving very soon.
Who is the contractor and who's the architect?
Is Lemley and Wolf is the contractor and, so Jeff is the architect, although we're using plans from a structural engineer that we had prior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he's
overseeing.
overseeing, yeah, he's doing the
Okay.
construction monitoring and so forth.
Sorry, one more time, because this is gonna be the one where we stabilize it and then put out a RFP for the,
To sell it, or,
or,
we could rehab it,
okay, sorry.
but,
We
yeah,
don't know yet.
yeah, I mean, we have to decide that.
Okay. And we should decide that after they've had this little meeting.
Well, I mean, we can,
When do we have to decide that?
there's no deadline on that, but,
Lemley and Wolf would be in for the long haul if we.
no,
wanted
all
to?
we've agreed to with them is they're doing the stabilization.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we could put out an RFA to
Yeah,
sell it.
okay.
So, yeah, 44 South Miller, we did the asbestos, testing about a week ago. We're waiting on the results.
That was in the render that is on the building.
The what?
Yeah,
The render that's on the building, the plaster.
the asbestos.
Oh.
Was in the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
It's wrapped around, we opened up, David opened up windows, so the so the consultants could go inside, pull samples of the interior building material and go up to the roof and also pull a layer of the roof membrane and associated materials. Having the scaffold worked out really well. I think we got it done in about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Oh,
And
That's good.
everybody was safe and no one fell, so that was.
Bonus.
That's always good.
Well, yeah.
There was a safe side.
Wasn't
so-
cheap scaffolding, so it was
Wasn't
close.
Yeah, but
So we're waiting the results.
we are, I sent
Yeah.
a follow-up, I'm waiting for a response.
Okay.
And then we can move ahead accordingly with the stabilization of that. And then 140 Chambers, at the last meeting, we awarded the contract for that stabilization job to Carlos. And we're working on, we submitted an application for a permit to the building department, and we're working on the contract with Carlos to initiate that work. The Restore New York, which is, we're also using funding from Land Bank initiative, it's further down on the agenda, but we've completed the cleanouts
Oh.
of 72 and 78 Lander. Carlos did that under a service contract and stabilized the storefront that was, about to collapse. And so now we can bring the structural engineer back in to do, clear measurements and structural planning and working with Open Structure on the plans that they have. And the thought was to kind of start a structural stabilization plan.
Mhm.
And then also seek partners to do the full scale project, and they would take over as landlord. Or find somebody else.
Would they be part of an expanded scope if that lot becomes part of it, or? right
Yeah, it would
now
all
it's-
be part of the same project. So. And then also, I'm just gonna roll it all in, because 143 Washington, which we approved at the last meeting, funding to that, through the Land Bank Initiative. We're working on, the sale of that property. I just transferred today, our Jan Weiss, who's our, has been our attorney, is taking over from the prior attorney that we had on that from 2020, Paris Beach, so he's gonna transfer the case over with the money that was escrowed for the deposit. So we're working on the sale and, that funding agreement, and as they're working out their underwriting for the whole project. And they're also about to submit the permit application,
That's great.
so that's happening.
Yes.
So that's how we're spending the rest of this funding.
Oh, I see, okay,
Yeah.
yes.
And, so that's gonna be about 300,000, just
Right.
in each of these projects are like, 200,000 or more. Yeah,
200,000 to stabilize or?
yeah, like 128 Du Bois is, I think it's 128,000, 140 was about 200, 140 Chambers is about 200,000. 44 South Miller is 200, maybe
more?
250.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to stabilize. This is why nobody does these.
Yeah, and nobody understands.
That's why we
don't understand that.
Yeah.
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 So that's why this funding exists, that's why land banks exist, to help with those
Yeah.
costs to make these projects possible.
Bring them back to life.
Yeah.
And I think a big chunk of the property we just sold, the stabilization was a lot of money. And you try to figure out these numbers and you say, why does this house cost $340,000?
Because the roof has been open to the elements for decades or whatever.
And frustratingly, that's why landlords feel like they have to rent it for 2,500 or something, because they need to recoup some of it if they're doing it entirely on their own.
Right.
I think what's hard explaining or breaking it down for community members, why can't, if you're giving land bank city-owned property that's been vacant and they're rehabilitating the properties, try to explain how much it costs to remediate and then stabilize and then do the renovation.
Right, why can't I just have it for $1?
75,000 or 50,000, right? People, it's hard to,
And it's hard to wrap your head around those big numbers.
exactly, right.
You know,
Well, and
that
it costs
doesn't make
money
sense.
just to get that funding too, like,
Right.
It's a lot of administrative costs associated with these.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, 104 Washington.
I don't have any update on that. I don't know if they we're going back to the IDA.
IDA, yeah, I think they have,
They're on the agenda, right?
yes.
What's going on with Bar Brava? Just off.
So we're, yeah, I mean, off the record, but we're literally on the record. I think they're looking to lease the full space. It's a reasonable, no, the full restaurant,
Restaurant,
meaning the
yeah.
kitchen equipment.
Uh,
So I think you buy it out and then you lease the space.
Got it.
And the number seems reasonable, but I did ask another city employee who knows the space well, I said, why isn't this working? And she said she had heard that it's like a triple net lease.
Yep.
And so it's really expensive.
Oh,
So the buyout seems cheap. It's $100,000 with all the restaurant equipment, that's a great price.
Sure.
Equipment's expensive, but that it's a triple
Carry
net
the
lease.
tax on that,
Yeah. But they don't, isn't
It's got a pilot. It's not paying
I
any
don't
tax.
Yeah, it does
understand
have a
why
pilot.
Still?
For 14.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is
I
it-
think
okay.
it might have sunsetted.
Or it
I
reduced.
just looked at it the other day. It's a 14-year pilot.
Really?
14.
14.
It's not 14 yet?
No.
The land bank hasn't
It goes
existed
into
for
like the
14 years.
thirties, I think it's
Yeah.
20.
But he's been around for at least 10.
No, this was a land bank project.
Yeah.
96
That's
Broadway.
right,
Yeah.
that's right. Wow.
So that's what she said, is even
Okay.
if a business owner could afford, and it's a reasonable price to buy out a restaurant, that triple net lease for a startup restaurant is hard.
It's hard in this market.
Yeah.
Was that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Brian.
Yeah, I was just curious. I was walking the other day. and it's, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Okay, anything under projects? Where did we hit them all? Oh, going back to acquisitions, about asking the city for properties.
So, yeah, I'm on the agenda for January 23rd to do the annual report and to request the properties.
Okay.
Have you already identified the properties?
Yeah, we have a list that we've worked on.
There was a question of what are some of these properties, there's like holding, and I think there were just questions about the list of properties, so we decided to move up the annual presentation a little bit and do the ask at the same time, rather than have her come present her ask, and then a month later, basically come do the annual update.
So I've been working on the yearly review that we do every year, the brochure, and we're doing kind of additional inserts to highlight some of the stuff that we're doing, and then, we have this presentation.
There's no change on the Liberty Street lot, DC.
No, I think we're in
I took it off the agenda.
I saw, it's like, ugh.
I think we're in a issue where DEC is saying if you take, I'm reading between the lines, that I think if DEC is saying if the city takes full responsibility, then we'll give you whatever you want. And the city is saying, we're not gonna take responsibility. So some weird thing in there that I don't completely understand. So yes, I know.
We're at a stalemate.
Yeah, although I still think that, like, every time Jonathan says, like, give me your short list, it should be on there. So if you or anyone talks to John, right, there's these things can be political, and if someone gets pushed to clear something.
What if we just try to sell it and then that pushes the issue to sell shame?
I think we could, but I just don't think anyone's attorney would let them buy it until.
No, but would that somehow,
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, if the city and the land bank got together, put out an RFP, got a great response that we publicized and said, we can't do this because of DEC not signing a sheet of paper, but I don't know that anyone has, I don't know that. I don't know, it's a good ask. It's, you know what, bring it up on Thursday. Maybe it's worthwhile bringing it up on Thursday and saying, we own the other half of this, and we would love some, saying it publicly and scolding them a little bit, I think is where we're at.
I could do that.
I'm not gonna do it, yeah, right, so.
Public comment?
okay,
So,
It's legal's residence at this point.
I'm sorry, yes, I think it's lots of legal.
What's happened, on Broadway, it must be a similar thing with the gas station.
No, we
contamination.
pre-negotiated that, so that one, we didn't take ownership except for a minute. So we had the right to foreclose, and in a three-way, we never, so in a three-way, DEC signed the thing. This one we've owned for a long time.
A private entity now is like DC is not coming after them, they're
Right.
actually helping them.
Well, what they did here, remember, they
Right,
did
no, I know,
remediate
yeah.
it here, but yeah, this liability that we have to potentially pay back. So I don't know.
That's a really.
The other thing that I also don't know that is important information ultimately, if this isn't going anywhere, is what was the cost of the remediation? Because there could be a thing, if it costs $300,000, so fine, we have to sell it for $300,000 and we don't get money. It's not ideal, but at least we can
move it.
move,
Did the
yeah.
city remediate the
No,
property?
DEC remediated
Oh, okay.
it. They stepped in and remediated. And then I think the thing is that back into the fund or
Right,
not, or
right.
I don't know
Okay, I
what
get
the.
it.
I
Yeah,
don't really quite understand the issue,
I
to be
don't.
honest.
It didn't
Because I
seem
did,
like that
whatever
coming
Andrews,
outside there.
whatever Andrews guy specifically had, I brought it to Jeremy and he was like, if we sign this, and then they need to sign it, we're not gonna give up our, and I was like, okay.
But they've done the work, they're not coming after the city for this money. The city didn't contaminate it,
Correct, right, we're not, but it doesn't matter, we're still volunteer, right, we
Yeah.
still volunteer.
but the idea of DC coming after small cities, with limited resources, like, it's not gonna happen.
So, yeah, I don't know.
So then we're just gonna have these vacant lots.
I know,
here?
forever. I
Is
mean,
it helpful to bring it up at council?
I think
mean,
it would
will
be. I
get
think
up and say in public comment, like,
Yeah, I'm
This
a
is
board member
embarrassing.
and,
What's
and
happening?
one of the things that that Jen didn't mention, but I think is, we would love to know what is happening with these two lots. It looks like they've been fully remediated, but we, as the land bank have been told, that there's a DEC sign off that we're waiting on. Is there something the city can do to expedite that? I think period, then at least brings it up in public, make the mayor a little agitated, which is good. If you direct his agitation, it's good.
All right, any other order of business that I skipped over, which I don't?
146 South, I got the update from our attorney is that the other side's attorney has gone cold. The court didn't respond to his request for a conference. He's gonna follow up
well,
and then have to do a series of motions, but we'll eventually get like a summary default judgment or something.
You
That's what he
wanna,
said.
give a little history of that one?
Again?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I forget how long
146
it started.
South, we sold, like as is, through a we had a real estate person sell it, or market it for us. The person who bought it like 2 weeks before COVID or something like that. It was like right before the world shut down, and then we never heard from them again.
And that's where it stands.
So they never did
and
anything.
they're representing they're living in it, right?
So that was their answer. I think they just had to put something down, like,
It's just
you know,
nonsense, no one's gone into that building.
right. They may have had some kind of initial permit for demo or something, but beyond that, nothing happened. And,
And
you know,
didn't they
it's well
just
past the
disappear?
2-year limit. What?
did they just disappear? after
Yeah, like they
that?
never responded to anything, and we sent letters and so forth. And it was even difficult for our attorney this summer to serve papers to the address. And then there was finally a response from them. Like, right, I think it was kind of right before the holidays, and then, our attorney requested a conference with the judge and nothing, there's been no response, so he's gonna follow up again. So we just have to go through the motions.
The city just took the property next to it. My first, you wanna come help me someday with that thing off the front of it? Yes, I know. But, so it's nice to have them both back in control, cause they're probably destroying each other at this point.
Yeah,
That would be really meaningful to have both those
Yeah.
buildings.
The one on the right is, as you face them, the one on the right is the one we're fooling around with, 146.
146 we have,
Right.
and then the one to the right of that.
Oh,
the
okay,
city
okay,
took
so
with the
we have-
awful, the old bodega, but it has that like thing attached to it.
Yeah.
like part of the shoebox on the front.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
ours, or
that's
not
the
ours, that's the
city's
one that.
now.
Ours is,
Yeah.
I think, or I don't know where you are.
When I put
It's with the red door.
oh, thank you. That's better.
It's very similar to 136
Yeah, now that
Lander.
I look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a nice building. It's in really
Was
bad
very
shape.
attractive.
Yeah,
that's Treasury Building.
I know. There's a couple places like that that are just beautiful representations and are all, restorable.
yeah.
Okay. So that's it.
Okay, does anybody have anything for executive session?
I don't think it's for executive session, but I do hear Jeff's concerns. I got the complaint from Megan about concerns about the application. I'm very wary of why people think they're applying and we're not getting it. And maybe that it's continuing
Yeah.
even after is, I thought we had Eileen and we all went through the
Yeah.
things, and then to hear another was disheartening. I am a little
Yeah.
concerned about, are we too lax with our deadlines? And so it's, like,
Yeah.
if we could tighten that up and figure out before we sell a chunk, which seems like a
Right.
little while, I think it would be.
I
nice.
think, also I would like to start like information sessions much earlier and educate people. Sometimes it's hard to get anyone's attention if it's still not done, but do a more out, it's hard, we're just two people to kind of do enough outreach, but I think that's part of it. Have more info sessions and really be clear about what the steps are. I do think there is an issue where people submit things and they don't complete it,
Right.
And
But
I don't know if there's some other way that we can also check. I don't know, that's something to talk about, but whenever I follow up with Passstone, they say there are a bunch of people that kind of started and then we never heard from them, we followed up. And they believe it's because they don't actually they're not able to.
Mhm.
But, it's an overwhelming process and especially for first-time home buyers, so it is, possible people get confused, even though they get the counseling and so forth.
how close are we working with Passstone? Do we know this person is going to be applying for this property? And we know that name, and when we don't hear anything, or we can check up on it, said, how far along in the process is this person?
Well, I mean, it's
So I'm
supposed to
wondering
be
if there's
like
a
they
lack of
only submit to us
communication.
completed applications, but the last time when there were questions about it, they sent us a little list of all the applicants and what they had completed to date, and we can ask for that.
I think so.
Yeah, that would be
that's-
good.
yeah,
just
Maybe
to
that's
see it.
Yeah.
because then when we get the complaints too, we can just quickly say like, oh, so-and-so, we can see it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those ask,
I think there was supposed to be like more distance, like, so we weren't influencing the process, but.
just
we
at
can
the end,
certainly-
yeah, I think just at
Yeah.
the end, if we could have
Yeah.
both of those submitted, I think that would be really helpful.
I do
Is it
too.
a technology thing, like the platform that it's going through? 'Cause
I think it's mostly
Like, what
that
is-
it's first time buyers,
Well,
and I
I
mean,
think you're
even
just-
with a lawyer and, a mortgage banker, it is really complicated.
Yes.
And that's what I've heard from a couple that I've referred as they just like got mired in paperwork.
I'm just
Like,
thinking
they
it
get
shouldn't
done.
go through, like, it shouldn't give the illusion that it even went through, like, it should be a full stop,
Oh,
just saying,
right,
is that
right,
a
that, yes, I hear what you're
No,
saying.
everything
This
is
is a
like in
platform.
person, no, it's
Oh,
like
okay.
they submit.
Oh, okay.
I don't
everything.
apply
Like,
online?
they brought me this package
Okay, got
Oh.
it.
for Megan.
So there's no, okay, got it.
So it's
You know,
all, you have to
it's all-
hand deliver that?
They
Or-
hand deliver it to me, but people can submit stuff online, but there are a couple things they have to have a wet signature
So when they
on.
submit it online, do they get something back confirming that it's
Right.
complete, or, because
I
wouldn't it be
believe
good to get?
Passstone follows them up with them and says, you're still missing XYZ, and like, then they go cold,
I've heard there are phone calls and emails.
Yeah.
And these are people who are upset about it, but
Yeah.
acknowledge they had been
But
contacted.
even paper at the time of submission, like whoever's collecting, I'm just trying to make a connection, like, can they, I know it's a lot, it looks like a big
Yeah.
step, but can they just, like a checklist, like? do
They
you
have a checklist.
And they do, and it's
Yes,
still,
they
okay.
do have a checklist.
Yeah, that's why I think it would be helpful if we get the
Yeah,
rejected
with-
at the end,
right,
because
yeah.
we'll see like, oh, they
Yeah,
didn't get
exactly.
these two check
Mhm.
marks, that's why.
Right. Okay.
And especially if we, get a chunk or a couple again, then we can
Right.
say, hey, you're just missing one thing. Could you reach back out to this person because we still have another
Yeah.
property or something?
Yeah,
This
do
is-
they, oh, sorry,
No, please.
does this go into a database, or,
No.
no, they just review the entire application? Have
Oh,
to?
I don't know what they do on their end. I mean, because they're, HUD counselors, they have a whole, but they have their applications.
Mhm.
I don't know how they track it internally, but, there, I don't know, there are certain things like they have to, verify. So like, that was an issue the last time, like, they needed a wet signature verifying this is the number of people in the household, you know? And somebody was objecting to that, like, why should I have to do that? And it's like, well, they have to verify that. You know, so like, you know, it's a pretty official thing that they're doing. But we can certainly ask for, like what you guys are saying, a list of all of the applicants, complete and incomplete.
Would be helpful.
Right, right,
Yeah.
and where they're
And
moving,
reasons,
and
yeah.
then you get a phone call and say, well, this, I don't know where I am, blah, blah, blah. Then we know who they're talking about, and we have an idea of where they are, and we can check with Pastor and say, so-and-so is saying, because I'm worried that, maybe Pastor is not getting back to say, you're missing this document, we can't go forward. Because I'm sure they're very busy with this stuff.
I feel like they have been, especially after there were complaints, they went back and made sure that
Yeah,
everybody.
I think that's why that was so.
Yeah.
Like why Jeff's concerned.
Yeah. But I'll follow up about that one and even get a list of any of the, like, anyone who's started an application for this building.
Do you know how many people total apply or even started applications?
For this building?
Yeah.
No, this one I don't know the specifics.
I mean, this is the opposite of what I would tell seller clients at this point, but could we put signs up on the buildings when the application's open for sale signs? I mean, at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't do
did,
it.
although sometimes they get covered.
Yeah, I'm thinking like big.
Yeah.
Like, and here's how you apply, because I feel like pipeline is the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would love to, the ones that didn't finish it seemed like they could have, if we could just do a follow-up, it would be great to do a follow-up, just a quick
Yeah.
note that's like,
That's a good.
you didn't get this, but we average about 2 a year, whatever it is. And we, encourage you to reapply in the future. Maybe we'll have Malachi as like our spokesperson, 3 applications or whatever it was, but something like that maybe feel a little softer too, because it could be defeating to be like, but it's only one property, we can't give it to everyone, even if we.
I really do think it's that people wind up being like, oh, they have too much student loan, or like, something happens with their financial package that they're just not eligible.
In fact, I encountered that at the open house. There was someone who came, who I'd never met before. His name was Matt. And he said, I want to tell you, it's like an open house. He's like, are you open to some feedback about the process? So I said, well, sure. And so he proceeded to tell me how it would be better. And I listened to what he had to say. And, what he was presenting was, why don't you deed the house to the families before the renovations are done? I said, well, we have sold properties as is, but it's up to those people to do the work afterwards. I was like, what we're doing is doing the work, and then we're looking for people who can get a mortgage. It's not gonna meet everybody, it's not gonna meet everybody's needs, and we're not gonna be able to provide housing for everybody, but that's the model that we're doing. And so I think he understood it more then, and then I think there might have been a challenge with other things.
The other thing is, like, people sometimes are not ready, and yeah, again, it's a pipeline issue, but like the last round, the person that we awarded 39 South Miller to, he applied last year and wasn't ready.
Right, exactly,
And
that's what
then
I'm
this
saying, like a
year now
follow-up,
he was
like-
able to, to do it, so,
We should.
so that's good, that, we wanna work with people in that way.
Yeah, I started the pastoral process once, and by the time I wanted to buy it, because at that point they had a really big down payment assistance. Yeah, and by the time, it was like a really long process, and by the time I was ready to buy, I still hadn't finished that, screw it, but.
You think people just
Yeah, I
get
mean,
discouraged?
my hope is that people start this process, and then even if they don't get one of our
Right,
homes, they're in
they
the.
clean up their
Yeah.
credit or something
Yeah.
like that, right? Exactly.
I mean, and you look and it's like there is not anything on the market in the price range that we're.
Other than city-owned properties on Fullerton Avenue, if anyone would like to buy a home.
Renovated?
Well, it's
Or
moving
not that
ready,
bad.
it's not
Okay.
that bad. I mean, I guess people have different expectations.
Which property?
than I do. Right across from the high school, right next to the church, the second one in. I
Oh,
don't
that
know
one.
the number. I can't
Oh.
remember,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but-
Yeah, it's not too bad, but it's still. It's a lot.
Wood paneling, but like it's cosmetic.
Hey,
Yeah.
wood paneling, if you're into NCM, that wood paneling can stay right where it is.
Oh, I have
And
plenty of
green
that at
shag
my house.
carpeting too.
Yeah,
You could paint that white.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Anyway,
It works.
now I've gone, I veered very far off topic. Apologies.
Okay,
Ready to call the meeting to?
let's let our people go here.
We're gonna call the meeting to a close. Thank you very much, John, and who's that other guy from Florida? Him. Miss
Hey,
you already.
it's not rosy and warm down here right now. So don't feel so bad.
Okay, thanks, hon.
Hey, Jennifer,
Alrighty.
Yes,
I heard some chatter about the DEC and contaminated properties earlier. I just wanted to remind you about the covenant not to sue agreements that the DEC has entered into with a whole bunch of land banks. Something we should probably talk about.
the what covenant?
Not to sue.
Oh,
Covenant not to sue.
Yeah, the DEC has addressed this issue for land banks and other municipalities. So they act to the point where they have a template agreement. It's probably too late for whatever properties you were talking about earlier if you already own them, but prior to acquiring a property has contamination, if you have one of these agreements with them in place, you notify them in advance. They'll share with you any data they.
yeah, this is a city-owned property that the job number was under, but the land bank owns the adjacent property that was impacted.
Oh, okay.
But-
Whether you could get an existing property you own under the umbrella of this agreement, I'm not sure about that. It's designed to address properties that you're going to acquire.
Wait, could the land bank though take, if the land?
Oh, if the land bank
The
takes the
city
city
property.
property, would that maybe solve the issue?
It might, although it sounds like there's already a large. Yeah, the answer is maybe. We'd have to look into it further. I'm
Worth
not sure.
looking
It's
into.
worth it, yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and whether the agreement calls, you have to jump through some hoops, but they'll share with you all the data they have. There's a waterfall with what you do with any proceeds, right? You get to pay yourself back first, your costs and expenses, and then any balance left over would go to the DEC to repay the cleanup costs.
If you sell and not develop, or is this just cleanup costs?
Well, you've got to, they want you to move on it. There's a time frame involved. They don't want you sitting on it for too long. I think under the template, it's a 4-year period. They want that property out of the land bank in a reasonable period of time.
Well, we want to sell it now. We were just waiting for this sign off from DC.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you fix that?
All right, we can talk offline about that, maybe.
Yeah, of course, anytime. It's all on the state land bank association's been pretty active, and it was Suffolk County first, but then we developed a template and